Good evening, everyone. Hope you're doing well. Welcome to What Kind of Yakuza Are You Anyway? Integrity and Honor in Grand Theft Auto 3. Couple reminders here. Please keep your mask on at all time, and I will do my best to repeat any questions that are answered. I just gave the Discon 3 spiel. Sorry, I was on a lot of panels. Saw a lot of panels there last month. If you have no clue what I'm talking about, never mind. Anyways, so what we're going to see here is actually a work in progress. It's something I've been working on off and on, so this is not going to have any real major conclusions at the end of it or things yet. It's something that I'm kind of piecing together. I'll introduce myself in a moment. I got the idea for this actually in 2020 because I was like, okay, well, in 2020 I had done something on Donkey Kong because DK was the theme for MAGFest that year. It was like, okay, this is when we thought there might be a MAGFest last year still, possibly. So this was by summer 2020. So I'm thinking, okay, well, the theme's Doom, but the only experience I have with Doom is Doom 64 and Doom 32X, and I can't get much mileage out of that. Oh yeah, GTA 3's got to turn 20 in 2021. Perfect. And then COVID canceled everything. But hey, we're a few months removed from the 20th anniversary, so close enough, right? Okay, can everyone hear me clear enough?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay.
There should be more fucking people here.
I had more people I think I had a panel once that was like at 1 or 2 in the morning, and I know I had more people at that one once. And it was on a Saturday. Maybe it was 11:30. Yeah, but that was MAGFest 2019. A lot more people, pre-COVID. And it was a Saturday night, so yeah. Never thought I'd see so many people interested in Phantasy Star 2. And you know what? It was really cool. Okay, so I am Stephen E. Flask. I am a writer, avid reader, gamer, and educator. I teach at Kent State University. My semester starts in about a week and a half at this point. I made my syllabi this morning. I just have to do the learning management stuff. You can find me at Twitch at Warren_Traveler, YouTube at Warren Traveler 6, and on Facebook at that long thing there because I had no clue how to actually make the link for that how to make the shortened link on there. If you find Steve, yeah. I teach college writing.
Nice.
And first year experience sometimes. So yeah, those composition classes you have to go through with the essays and things like that, that's what I teach. And I like it. I do, seriously. Starting to do that was one of the best decisions I ever made. Okay, my history with GTA 3. Some of us were talking about this prior to starting here. I first played the game in the spring/summer of 2002. A friend brought a copy over. I was 16 at the time. It was actually a friend of my brother's, and they're younger, so I'm not sure exactly how he got a hold of a copy. His parents, I don't think, really cared what he was playing. And my parents at this point weren't really too worried about what my brother and I were playing either. So I bought my own copy in 2004 as a high school graduation gift. Not the same copy I have right here. I had to replace it at some point because these games do die after all. I think I'm on my fourth copy of Vice City at this point. Yeah, and I'm about the third copy, and I'm about to have to replace that one because the game's really not loading stuff sometimes. Like I'll be going heading to a bridge transition, you get to see nothing but these gray and brown blocks. I'm like, that's supposed to load. That's supposed to be the foreground's still supposed to be partially loaded before you get to that loading zone. I beat the first game for the first time in January/February 2010. I had the game for 6 years. 6 years took me that long. The reason was I wanted to 100% the game, and I got stuck on the paramedic mission for a long time. Yeah. So, who's played this before?
Oh, yeah.
Tell me.
Who's beaten it?
Wow.
Oh, wow. Okay. What's the...
I play it to kill the people.
Okay. You're not playing for the story yet. Okay. You're just... Okay.
I get to a certain point, I'm like, I just want to play to kill.
Okay. Did you make it to the second island?
Yes.
Okay. How about you back there? Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So what's the furthest you remember getting so far storyline-wise, just so I have some basis?
I bought it again for Switch, so I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't played the definitive edition, by the way. I've seen how pretty the buildings and the world on the map looks. Character models look okay, but I'm not sure how Claude got his hair dyed in the meantime between the two. Okay, so the project here. So I decided that instead of saying, hey, I'll just make a short panel, I'll actually do something with this, because since I do work in academia, I should probably find some way to do something with it involving research and some other things instead of just saying, hey, here's something cool to talk about. So my goal here is to analyze the integrity and honor of the main character, Claude, and what it tells us about ourselves. We're not going to get through that, what it tells us about ourselves, because I haven't got to that part in the research yet and things like that. We can talk about it a bit. I want to focus primarily on his relationship with the Yakuza. Now, that might sound weird considering how much of the game you spent early on with the Mafia, but I really think a look at the Mafia in the world of Liberty and the Liberty City world would be better off to say for Liberty City Stories when you play as Tony, because you spend so much more time with that, and I feel like I don't like using that phrase. And the crux of the GTA 3 really has to do with the way you work with the Yakuza, because some stuff happens, and you keep working with them. And in any other situation, you probably wouldn't. And it all has to do with your main character. And we'll talk about it because Claude's problematic. He doesn't seem that way, but he can be problematic. Usually it's everyone else but you who's problematic in the GTA universe, you know. Okay, Tommy ever said he's crazy, but we still love Tommy, right? Yeah. Some of us do, at least. Okay, I'll back up my ideas and opinions with scholarly research, and I'll make a full gameplay-length video study and present work as commentary with appropriate sourcing. So we're looking at a good, 15, 20-hour study here, essentially, kind of like it would be if it was a book. I'm also overambitious, so if this actually happens, I'll be surprised with myself. Research. I started on this later than I wanted to because I didn't have full access to a good university library, but there's good 11 books there, plus some digital articles to go through. I have I've gone through some of those, but I have some more work to do still. So you won't see any of that on here yet. This is all mainly preliminary. We'll get through what I have so far, and then we'll just have basic questions, discussions, things like that. So, welcome to Liberty City. Spoilers ahead. Also, I have 22 minutes of video to show, which will cover a good point of this. When I originally made the videos for this panel, mostly last year, like a year ago, I had 1 hour 15 minutes of video. Well, essentially it was, I took every mission, recorded the entire sequence of it, like the opening cinematic for it, chopped it up a bit as needed, and then showed a bit of gameplay of each thing. Well, that was excessive. So, anyways, yes, there won't be too much sound in this one, so don't worry. And I need to move my there. Yes. So, welcome to Liberty City, USA, the worst place in America. There is so much that you can do here. You can see the lovely sights. Help your fellow hemorrhaging man. And note, everyone's hemorrhaging really badly. Put out the fires you didn't start. Give the police a hand or two in cutting down on lawbreakers. Go off-roading. Go street racing. I think it's the only one in the game. Start your own business because we all need a side hustle, right?
You're listening to Lips 106. So,
make a friend. Make questionable decisions. Make really questionable decisions. And make really, really questionable decisions.
Whoa.
What could go wrong? So there's like so for some reason that seam there is not solid. So if you hit it just right at the angle, you'll go right through it. And the furthest you can transport yourself is actually across the block by Tony's. That's about as far as I managed to get him to go. So. Oh, I did not. I always do that. Yeah. Shift of shifts. So, we gone right out to the next video. So the beginning. Just for time's sake, Karen, I don't think the camera's actually on, so it won't matter anyways. This is all really special. So who here knows the basic story of how this all begins? Sorta? Okay, so we should go through the opening. We should go through the opening just to be safe.
Out of jail.
Yes. Yeah, so let's take the next 5 minutes or so and just recap.
Sorry, babe. I'm an ambitious girl. Just small time.
You can put it in the bottom here. You have punch off the bottom over there.
Oh.
Yeah.
This is all it goes, I think.
The city is in shock today as the police and emergency services deal with the aftermath of a devastating attack on a police convoy this morning. As yet, no details have been released about the prisoners being transferred in the convoy, and no group has claimed
It sounded loud enough to me over here,
The
but
convoy left police headquarters early this morning for a routine transfer of felons to Liberty Penitentiary. The attack took place on the Callahan Bridge, leaving few witnesses, and the bridge itself severely damaged. Some of the convicts are thought to have perished in the explosion that followed the initial attack. Revelations as to the professionalism of the attack struck police hours afterward, when identification of the missing felons were further hampered by an attack.
well, you know what? It might be also the volume wasn't too loud when I recorded this too, I think.
With the Porter
It
Tunnel
might be to do with
project falling
it.
behind schedule, this disaster leaves Portland isolated from
I think the
rest of
sound might
city.
come out of the projectors. It is okay.
Come on! Senor Dickhead! It's no problem to kill you.
Okay.
You're gonna be sorry.
It might have been too, the laptop I recorded this off, I did the caption from, didn't have the best sound too, so. I mean, that's what subtitles are for, right?
Get lost.
Oh, yeah. I was using the bad cable with this one. I could hear the buzz from the PS2. Yeah.
I know a place on the edge of the red light district where we can lay low, but my hands are all messed up, so you better drive, brother.
Okay, so if you wreck your car or anything at this point, you will always start back up here. So this is where the game really begins.
Media station, just one of 900 radio stations, 300 TV stations, 3 satellites, 10 senators, and radio.
I chopped this up, I edited this a bit for time purposes.
This is the place right here. Let's get off the street and find a change of clothes. I know this guy. He's connected. Maybe me and him go back, so I can probably get him some work. Come on, let's head over. This is Luigi's Club. Let's go around the back and use the service floor. wait here, man, while I go in and talk to Luigi. Say hello to 8-Ball, lady.
8-Ball's got some business upstairs. Or maybe you could do me a favor. One of my girls needs a ride, so grab a car and pick up Misty from the clinic, then bring her back here. Remember, no one messes with my girls. So keep your hands on the wheel. If you don't mess this up, maybe there'll be more work for you. Now get out of here.
Okay, we'll get to cutting the grass in a minute. So that's how it begins. Your girlfriend has shot you, or at least your, accomplice at this point. This is kind of weird to talk about now because when this game came out, the other games hadn't came out yet. So Claude did not have an established relationship with Catalina, that's the woman who shot him. But if you played San Andreas, which takes place in 1992, and saying this takes place in 2001, say about, Catalina starts being in a relationship with Claude at that time. Who's played San Andreas up to that far? If anyone? No? Okay. Catalina is borderline unhinged in some ways. She constantly threatens the main character in that game to either kill him or emasculate him or things like that, and then eventually dumps him for Claude. Now, with that type of attitude, just for thought, if she's as borderline unhinged as she appears in that, which takes place 8 or 9 years before, how did she not dump Claude earlier? It doesn't matter. But really, some of the characters we meet in GTA 3 actually are met earlier on than through San Andreas. Salvatore Leone, Maria, his wife / mistress / thinks she's Claude's girlfriend / kind of a troublemaker. So yeah, but it's kind of like the Star Wars thing, it's what order you play them in, what order you watch them in, because when you add things into what's happened before. Though with Star Wars, we knew the story before, we just got the story earlier. In this case, it's like, well, okay, now that we established this, we'll go back here. So it's, maybe they didn't think it out so well sometimes, maybe not. It's just a question to ponder here. Anyways, though, sandbox gaming, because this is a sandbox game. Essentially, once you've dropped Misty off at Luigi's, you can do whatever you want. You can spend the rest of your time always playing the game, just not doing any missions. You can run around and find packages, doing rampages, just, trying to obey the traffic laws. By the way, the cops don't care if you run red lights in this game. They really don't. They're suggestions.
Is there an expansion where you just you work in a club and you just do nothing and you're in dance contests?
That might be a different game. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you might be thinking of the Ballad of Gay Tony, maybe for GTA 4. Yeah. There's no expansion packs for the third one. There's plenty of mods for it, including there's one mod that makes everything turns into winter and gives you ice physics. There's one you have to that makes a land bridge to the lighthouse and you have to deliver cars to the lighthouse. Yeah, there's some really weird stuff out there. Anyway, so the world's open to you, right? But the question then is, do you really have a story or experience if you don't actually do the missions that progress the game? It's not like, say, Super Mario Brothers, where your story is, Mario ran to the right, he jumped on a Goomba, he jumped over a block, he went down a pipe, he grabbed the coins, he beat Bowser, he saved the princess, everyone was happy until she got kidnapped. It's very, and again, you don't have to actually play through the game to enjoy it. My brother and I spent months probably just running around not actually completing anything in the game. And here's the thing, too. The game doesn't care how you do something as long as it gets done. I'll give you an example of that with the mission Cutting the Grass. Now, the idea of the Cutting the Grass mission, I know I've been like way too far away from the microphone here, I just realized. Essentially is that you are supposed to go track down, please go away, track down actually follow a member of Salvatore Leone's mafia named Curly Bob. Curly Bob is apparently informing to the Colombian cartel, who's at war with the mafia, and who incidentally is being ran by your ex-girlfriend who left you for dead. Now, at this point, you don't know that yet. You find that out, and she doesn't even know you're alive yet, probably. Maybe she's heard that you might be, but who knows, you know? That same group is also the same people that kidnapped the elderly Asian man. I was going to use the term that the game uses, but that term is no longer appropriate. Remember, the game's 20 years old. It's hard to change how we speak sometimes. And why they kidnap him, we never really find out, aside to, I think they want money for him, and maybe that we don't, it doesn't matter. It's like the briefcase in Pulp Fiction. It exists to exist. Anyway, so there's a lot of ways you can do this. What the game expects you to do is trail Curly Bob and to the harbor, essentially. If you get a taxi and you get there fast enough, he'll get in your taxi, then you don't have to worry about trailing him at all. But we'll look here at how you can do this mission in 2 different ways and how the game still gives you the same result, essentially. And I've written up some narrative to go with it because, you know, watching's fun, but if we want to talk about narrative and storytelling in game, we kind of want to think of it sometimes like a story. Now, has anyone here read the books that came out in the late 80s, early 90s about some of the NES games? They were written by, they're like called Worlds of Power or something like that by FX9. Okay, some of them are okay. Some of them, like the Mega Man 2 one and the Bionic Commando one, are really bad. Platformers don't always make the best stories. Anyway, so Cutting the Grass Scenario 1. This is footage from a charity marathon I did last year. So if you're wondering why I'm off on the side, that's why. Then the second is footage from, I had made for the panel of this from last year. So, okay. So Scenario A. This is how the game kind of expects you to do it, what they tell you to do. Okay. Claude whipped across the avenue, pulling into Luigi's. Curly Bob was already leaving the club and heading toward a taxi. Claude pulled up alongside Curly Bob and honked, but Curly Bob ignored the interloper and entered the taxi Claude wasn't in. Claude scowled and backed up. He could see Curly Bob peering out of the back window, eyes scrunched. Curly Bob grew slightly pale as he started to make out what he thought might be the man he had been told about, the man in the leather jacket and pants. Claude stayed a far distance and kept that distance up as he followed the taxi Curly Bob was riding in. He saw Curly Bob occasionally looking behind him, but the longer they drove, the more distance Claude kept and the less Curly Bob checked his trail. If you notice at first how fast that spookometer grew there, yeah, that's how easily Curly Bob is spooked. The guy's got ESP or something. Also note, on the mini-map, there was no way to tell where he is. They changed that in later games when you have to follow someone. But here, no, you just gotta follow, the bouncing blue arrow. And I know where they're heading anyways. There's not supposed to be sound here right now. I had it muted, so don't worry if you're not hearing anything. So, they eventually arrived at Portland Harbor. You can see just how far away you have to stay without that meter going up. It's kind of ridiculous, to be honest. The later games balance some things out a lot better like that. Scenario B. The fast one. Claude whipped across the avenue, pulling into Luigi's. He was early. There was another taxi already waiting for Curly Bob. Claude pulled in the space behind the parked taxi. It started to rain. He noticed Curly Bob in the alley. Curly Bob must have left from the back entrance. He saw Curly Bob walk over to the taxi he was in and go inside. Portland Harbor, he said. Claude pulled out into the street and headed towards the harbor. Curly Bob's paranoia about being followed was legendary. His lack of looking forward, though, not once did Curly Bob pay attention to who was driving. Claude didn't say a word. And he never speaks because he's apparently mute. Either by choice or by health reasons we don't know. They never explain that. But it makes getting to his head a lot harder. And they eventually arrived at the harbor. See, same result, different way of getting there. So much more easier, wasn't it? Please pause. I was hitting the wrong button. Okay. Sorry about that. So, now this leads us to talking about Kenji. Who knows who Kenji is in this game? Okay, if you don't, that's okay. So Kenji is one of the people that give you jobs in the game. He gives you your jobs on the second island, Staten Island, essentially. Here's all Kenji, I believe, is really the linchpin for your character's integrity and honor. And we'll see why. Now, mind you, at this point, you've had to kill a lot of people, usually by command. But this is going to be a very interesting case coming up here. So here's all the cutscenes that Kenji is in, except for one of them, which we'll see that other one later. Please note, you only have to see him in the first cutscene. You never have to work for him in the game. It's completely optional. And because with Kenji here, that's and his ties to the Yakuza, that's why most of my research will be focusing on that. And I have to do a lot of study on the organization myself. Organization itself before I can talk a lot about that. But I've gotten a lot of research on it, so you just have to go through and make notes and such.
Death comes as pleasurable news. You're an efficient killer. I like that in a man. Ah, this is my brother, Kenji.
Asuka has a little job for you. But when you're done, drop by my casino and we can talk.
Just like Kenji. Always trying to play with my toys.
My sister speaks highly of you, though I'm yet to be convinced that a gaijin can offer anything but disappointment. Perhaps you could help deal with a situation that has me at a disadvantage. Of course, failure has its own disgrace. A Yakuza kanbu is in custody awaiting transfer for trial. He is a valued member of the family. Break him out of custody and get him to the dojo at Bedford Point. It is impossible to overestimate the importance of etiquette in this line of work. To my eternal shame, a man once did me a favor, and I've never had the opportunity to repay his kindness. The man's weakness is motor cars, and he has requested that we acquire him certain models for his collection. Needless to say, we must give him the cars as a gift to repay the debt that I owe him. You must obtain the cars on this list and deliver them to a garage behind the car park in Newport. My honor demands it. When trouble looms, the fool turns his back, while the wise man faces it down. The Colombian cartel have ignored repeated requests to leave our interest in liberty well alone. Now they are negotiating terms with the Jamaicans in order to humiliate us further. They are finalizing a deal across town. Take one of my men, steal a Yardi car, and go pay your respects to the Colombians. Our honor demands that you leave no one alive! To be truly strong, it is important that you never show weakness. The businesses fortunate enough to have our protection settle their accounts today. Go and collect the money immediately. so we can enter it into the casino accounts.
I think I included an extra cutscene here. Yes, I did.
I can't pay you, and I wouldn't pay you if I could. Some young gang just jacked up the place. They took everything. You guys are useless. What kind of Yakuza are you anyway?
You. How fitting you should choose this moment to show your worthless faith. It would appear your attempts to dissuade the Jamaicans from becoming bedfellows with the cartel were wholly inadequate. Yardie pushers line Liberty Street selling packets of spank like they were selling hot dogs. Those cartel pigs are laughing at us. At me. I will give you one last chance to prove my sister's faith in you to be well-founded. Run these scumbags into the ground and wash your shame in rivers of our enemies' blood!
And that's the last we see of Kenji giving us instruction. Yes. So, and again, all that's optional. You don't have to do work for him at all. This leads us to talking about Claude's integrity. So before we talk about that briefly, have you ever had to do something in a game to progress that you did not feel right doing? Something where like, wait a minute, you're like, that doesn't make sense for the character, or I'm not comfortable with the character doing that. I mean, we're playing a Grand Theft Auto game here. We're killing people, we're running people, like, but all of a sudden it's like, wait, you want me to do what? Has anyone played Illusion of Gaia? Okay, so in order to do 100% the game, you have to tell someone, hey, I know where your slaves are hiding at. Yeah. And it kind of makes you go, wait. And I'll mention that game was made by Quintet, and your characters in the world sometimes in those games are kind of a bit off. Same people that made ActRaiser, Terra Enigma, Soul Blazer, things like those games. There was a panel here years ago where there was I forget who was running it. I forget which year it was. It was either in 2019 or 2016, but they were talking about some games where your character, in order to progress games, your character has to do some things that are very, very disturbing, to say the least. And there was discussion about maybe making those things optional, ways to skip through them or something. It had a lot to do with mental health and things like that and trauma. This doesn't get anywhere near that, but it does make you go, wait, it kind of pulls you back a bit, and it makes you think to yourself, are we meant to like the playable character? Is there any characters that matter in games like Grand Theft Auto 3? Are there characters in these games that are they really likable? They might be funny. Okay, Tommy Vercetti's probably the exception. Tommy and CJ are probably the exceptions. Maybe Vic Vance and Vice City Stories. I have not played 4 or 5. My experience is mainly with just the 5 that came out on the PS2. But you'll notice the more you go down the series, the more and more unlikable these people are. And it's really kind of showing us, this isn't how we really need to be. But we play the games because they're fun still. So, something to think about there. So, what did I have next? Okay. So then, let's see what this questionable thing is that you have to do. And you have to do this to complete the game, to beat the game. This is not optional.
Nothing drives down real estate prices like a good old-fashioned gang war, apart from an outbreak of plague. But that might be going too far in this case. I've noticed the Yakuza and the Colombians are far from friends. Let's capitalize on this business opportunity. I want you to kill the Yakuza Wakagashira, Kenji Kassen. Kenji is attending a meeting at the top of the multi-story car park in Newport. Get a cartel gang car and eliminate him. The Yakuza must blame the cartel for this declaration of war.
So what the game wants you to do is get a Colombian Colombian cruiser, which I happen to have one from the previous mission. and you're supposed to go to the top of the car park and essentially run him over. What you can do is, if you know how, you can use some rocks to actually move everyone around the roof of the parking deck from below and kill them that way, get in the cruiser, and then just leave like nothing happened. I messed that up. So what you're really supposed to do is just run them over and then use the ramp on the top of the parking deck to leave. I forgot that ramp was there. So I'm gonna take a long way down at the end of this. I re-recorded this on a Monday, which is why it sounds much better. So let's think here. What has Kenji done to us, aside from maybe insult us? Does he deserve death? Has he betrayed us? Has he hurt us? Exactly. Now, if you did it right when you get in the vehicle, it should say he's fender meat. Nothing. So I didn't do it right. Which is okay. So Kenji is where the blue arrow is essentially. He didn't move too far for some reason. He's actually right behind that, right behind the overturned vehicle. Or in between. I didn't think I was gonna make that. Now, of course, because we never actually hear Claude say anything, we don't really know what's going through his mind or things like that. So we kind of let his actions speak. But again, this is really the first point in the game where you've really been asked to do something that doesn't really make sense for you to do in terms of what's been going on. Okay, now, let me rephrase that. You shouldn't be killing pimps and things like that. But this is the first time someone you've worked for who has not stabbed you in the back, you've been told you've been asked to kill. And again, you have to do this to complete the game. This is a required mission. And incidentally, your death is foretold by the death of Kenji as foretold by Donald Love, the guy who told you to do that, puts the blame on the cartel. And Kenji's sister never has a clue that you actually did it, because you're so nice that you decide that she doesn't need to know. She'll eventually get killed too by Catalina. Because this all really comes back to just getting revenge on Catalina by any means necessary. That's how I've parsed it out so far. So where to from here? The first part of the video study I should have available by the end of the month. That's probably going to be an intro, kind of an intro thing, and also talking about integrity in general and things like that. I'll probably use that space to include the taxi and the paramedic missions because they're so long, because what a better way to set up theory and ideas than getting that footage out of the way talking about it. Hopefully I'll have the entire project done by June, if not earlier. And the study should be around 15 to 20 hours. As for next year, if I'm able to, I'm 3-0 so far in getting MAGFest panels. So if I get a 4th year, let's talk about coming to take over Diaz's business in Vice City. Because Tommy's a very different character. Okay, questions and discussion, and then we'll watch some bloopers. Because I had a lot of them. When you record an entire game, or parts of an entire game, things happen. So I guess I would have started by asking what some people's favorite. So as far as you've gotten in GTA 3, what's your favorite mission so far, thing to do?
I don't remember. Like, I played it so long ago.
Okay.
It was like, I even put it on a tablet, but it was so long ago.
Okay.
And just remember there were these long periods of reputation grinding. You'd have people after you, like the FBI, and you just sit there and kill like gangbangers for a couple hours, and then they would go away, so you could move around freely. And it was totally interrupted whatever mission you were doing.
I'm not sure if we're talking about the same game or not. It takes a lot of work to get the FBI after you in this game. There's actually one mission where they do come after you. Again, mission you have to do. It might be, I don't know, it's possible, I don't know. Okay, are there any questions about this so far? No? Okay.
Like, is there a lot of literature about, like...
I have found about the game itself.
No,
Oh.
just about kind of, you know, talking about characters in terms of ethics and integrity that are, like, anti-heroes.
Yeah. There's a lot of that out there. From what I've now, I need to expand my search actually, to be honest, because I was trying to keep it limited to just one university's library at the time. But I'm sure there is a lot. There is out. I know there's stuff out there on anti-heroes and such, mainly in science fiction and fantasy, and probably in comic books. I'm not so sure about video games, because again, in a video game, you're kind of creating your own narrative. You know, there is little, even though there's little difference between Claude didn't pick up Curly Bob in a taxi and Claude did pick up Curly Bob in a taxi, because Curly Bob's gotten end up at the harbor and getting whacked by Claude anyways. You know, one or another, he's getting ran over by a taxi essentially, or whatever else you decide to do, and he's gonna lose his shotgun in the process of it. Yeah, I'll look into that. There probably is. Actual writing about Grand Theft Auto 3 itself in some of those games, there's not a lot out there yet. At least when I searched last year, there wasn't. Mostly, if I go into, say, Academic Search Plus or things like that, what do I get? Reviews. And those are helpful, but not super helpful. So that literature, it's I think there's a lot of space within talking about video games that is still available out there to write, where there's a lot of open field to write in. It's just taking the time to do and then finding someone to actually take it seriously enough to look at it. And it's slowly becoming more and more accepted over time. 10, 11 years ago, science fiction was just starting to be mainstream acceptable in academia. You know, that's not that long ago. For some of us, that might seem like a while, but, you know, that wasn't that long ago. So I think as time goes on, we'll see more and more video games as art, maybe art video games as literature, things like that, ideas popping up. It'll probably get oversaturated like most things do, and then, you know, next thing you know, we're about the ethics of Candy Crush. I got nothing there. Okay, my favorite mission in this game is the Exchange, which is the last mission. It's also actually my favorite mission in any Grand Theft Auto game, but as none of us have no one's actually gotten that far, I won't talk about it. But let me just put it this, I'll tell you one thing. It's the last mission of the game, and you begin by losing all of your weapons. And you're surrounded by super aggressive Colombian cartel members who happen to be very over aggressive in the game. It's something that gets balanced later on, but this is pretty much, no matter what point you're at, as soon as these guys see you, they turn around and shoot. And they have pretty good aim.
So why do you lose all your weapons to begin with?
You lose all your weapons because you decide to give Catalina the money she wants so you can get Maria back. And I'm not even going to talk about the ending of the game. because that really will, if you beat the game, that will tell you everything you need to know about Claude's character and integrity, really. She hasn't come back yet, so I'm going to say yes. And considering that was a long time ago and they moved on past that universe, yes. Okay, so let's look at some bloopers that happened. Now, I'll try to give you some context with these as we go along. Do we have any other questions, comments, things like that before we get to that? We might just end a couple minutes early then. And if you want to leave and see Bit Brigade, you can do that. I won't hold it against you. I'm probably going to run there as soon as this is over myself, so. Okay. Okay, so, bloopers. I'll just say right now, these are alphabetical by mission, not in terms of chronology for the most part, so. This is the chaperone mission. What you need to do at this point is get Maria back to Salvatore's in one piece without destroying the car. Didn't happen. This is espresso to go. Remember I talked about super aggressive Colombian cartel members earlier? I'd been using that Patriot to ram several drug stands. Also, I got out of the car right when it exploded, apparently because my guy flew. Then got ran over. Okay, evidence dash. You're supposed to hit this pickup truck 6 times to get evidence that shows Donald Love has been at morgue parties. The one thing you don't want to do is put the truck into the ocean, which I did. Another attempt. Okay, so I lost my first vehicle. That's okay. I'll just take this cop car that's right here. And I forgot. Okay. Once you kill the head of the mafia people get shot. Mafia members get shotguns instead of pistols. I forgot. Also, my car is in bad shape. Okay, Claude can't swim, and sometimes he doesn't jump.
Yeah,
That close to the land. That close. Okay, I missed someone at this point. He didn't miss me. Actually, I missed 2 people, maybe 3. Okay, these guys are strapped with explosives. They're high on the drug spank, and they will body you like that if you let them. Okay, this is the mission where we're supposed to plant the bomb, get the bomb in the car, park the car, and then leave it and let the guy, and Mike Forelli comes in, gets in the car, and explodes. If you notice, I didn't put the car in the right position. And I already armed the bomb. What I should do is push the car into the right space. Instead, I get in like an idiot forgetting I armed the bomb. Okay, in this mission, this Infernus has been rigged to explode. If you notice, it explodes very easily. So here's another try. There's a traffic jam. I don't want to explode them because that might explode my car by accident. Shooting's not doing anything. That's really weird. The game doesn't know how to handle traffic in the tunnel. Okay. All clear now, right? Should be able to get the bomb defused, no problems, right? By the way, this is like the car has the fastest acceleration in the game. And not the best handling. Okay, we've loaded up Portland. We should be good, right? No. I hit the side. Okay, Salvatore called a meeting. Again, the limo has to stay in one piece. Surface-to-air missile. Sam, you're supposed to blow up a plane and then take the drugs from it. I think what happened here is I destroyed the plane after the time limit ended, but I did destroy the plane. And then I failed the mission. Still not completely sure on that one. Okay, this is the exchange. This is the last mission. I managed to pick up some weapons. My armor is gone. My health is really bad. I missed sniping a couple people. Because you only get like 5 shots. That's Catalina just getting in the chopper for whatever reason. Makes no sense. She says she needs to get in it, I guess. And yeah, I forgot about the guy with the really high-powered rifle. Okay. Blooper reel. Okay. Anything?
That was fun.
Yeah.
Wait, I'm gonna try to finish the game.
Yeah. It is. It's worth finishing it. If you try to 100% it, it gets a bit aggravating sometimes just because the game is very unbalanced in certain areas. And again, come Vice City a year later, they fixed a lot of those problems, the balancing things up. Well, except the swimming, yeah. 2 people can swim in the Grand Theft Auto universe in this version of the Grand Theft Auto universe: Carl and Vic. Yeah. Apparently, if you're black, you can swim. If you're white, you can't. That's essentially what the game's they're telling us. Well, think about it. Among those 5 that came out on the PS2/PSP, not including Chinatown Wars, which I haven't played yet. Yeah, but I'm not joking. Tony can't swim, Claude can't swim, and Tommy can't swim. Vic and CJ can. Don't know why. Okay, yeah, we got like 10 minutes. Anything else then? Nope. Okay, thank you all for coming. Thank you, MAGFest, for letting me do this. Have a good, safe, fun MAGFest, everyone. God bless, good gaming. See you later.